Now at 4:30, we are back now with a death row inmate whose expected testimony in front of a Texas House committee was canceled today.
Robert Roberson, a death row inmate whose execution last week was temporarily called off, was unable today to appear before a legislative panel. And here's why. He was unable to be there in person after Attorney General Ken Paxton's office claimed there were security concerns. This after the legislature declined to have him appear virtually because of his autism and not being familiar with today's technology since he's been incarcerated for the past 20 years. Instead, a committee of Texas lawmakers heard from TV host Dr. Phil, who recently interviewed Roberson at length.
There should be either an evidentiary hearing to show how this man's rights have been violated, and or a new trial, which I think would be pretty clear.
Roberson was scheduled to be executed last week for the death of his 2-year-old daughter, who died from what is known as shaken baby syndrome. It's a condition, though, that many experts and lawmakers are now saying is no longer supported by scientific evidence. Now, the focus of this hearing is if a retrial is needed in Roberson's case, and it's about the integrity of the criminal justice system.
But what, if anything, can come from this hearing? We're now getting some insight from our legal analyst, KHOU 11's Carmen Rowe. So, Carmen, can legislatures do anything in situations like this?
Well, look, they already have. Many of the witnesses that testified today in this hearing credited this House committee with saving the life of an innocent man. And today they're holding an unprecedented evidentiary hearing in the hopes of encouraging the Court of Criminal Appeals to look at this case a little bit closer. But make no mistake, this hearing is an indictment on our criminal justice system here in Texas, and one that calls into question everyone from the trial court all the way up to the Court of Criminal Appeals.
And today's hearing comes as Governor Abbott is breaking his silence about the planned execution. The governor condemning that bipartisan group of lawmakers for the subpoena that ultimately put that execution on pause.
Yeah, and he said lawmakers, quote, stepped out of line, saying clemency or a reprieve lies with the governor alone. So what is the point of a brief like that? Is it someone just flexing their political muscle?
Well, you could say that. I think that ultimately this evidentiary hearing is meant to reach out to the Court of Criminal Appeals, who ultimately will be faced again with a number of filings in the future, likely into next year when we have 3 new judges on that court. And Robert Roberson's defense counsel is hoping for a different outcome based on what we're hearing inside this hearing in the House committee.
And if I'm hearing you correctly, it seems like this is uncharted territory. So what happens now in terms of his execution?
So at this time, the trial court will set another hearing date just to issue a death warrant, which will give him a new execution date. And by statute, that will be into 2025.
All right, Carmen Rowe, our KHOU 11 legal analyst, thank you for that insight.